a little bit how yeah, we will speak about that one at the end. But how did you find the last chapter, by the way?
A bit sad in a
Really,
way.
because it was
Yeah,
like
yeah, he was like,
closing.
yeah, he was like saying goodbye. He was sad when he was writing it.
Yeah, yeah, I would
I
agree.
felt sadness on the paragraphs.
Yeah, I can understand. I would say that if you ask me, there are two things that I would like us to discuss that I feel are very, very important. I will begin with the last one, and then is if you go to page 100, they have this chart of from novice to master.
The
Did you see that?
pyramid, yeah.
Ah, um, the reason why I like that is because one of the things that students more often bring out is Humberto. This is I have no experience in programming. This is my first exposure, and how am I going to, even if they finished the education and they did well, Humberto, how am I supposed to find a job if I have very, very little experience? Uh, have you thought about that? Ah, but you do have a little bit of experience, right?
Not at work, not for work. I
Not
mean,
at work.
it's not like this course has been like my first exposure to computers or programming. No, not at all. But as a from a job perspective, it will be the first, and
It
I
would be the
am
first.
concerned about it. I am
Ah,
concerned about
okay.
it because I think my cousin, who is a programmer, he's been pair programming with me a lot. He says like, "Oh, you're kind of good for a junior. You just need to polish this and that, and you are good for a junior." And I'm like, I don't think so. So
Mm,
I'm like this concern about the level of experience that I should have. Hey,
mm.
people.
Hello, hello.
Hello, sorry, I
Y-
entered the wrong link. The wrong
no
link.
no worries, no worries. Yes, exactly. It is normal in the sense that we are going to feel a little bit overwhelmed in the beginning, and the thing that I say all the time, which is what I like of that page, and also what I like about now I forgot what page it is, but the point is that we cannot confuse years of experience with actual skill.
Mm,
He provided a link to, not a link, but an article, like what was it? I have it here. The years of
the myth of
experience,
the myth. Yeah, the myth, the
y
years
y
of experience myth.
myth, exactly. The years of experience myth. So you need to be careful from that perspective, and that is what I say. Sometimes all this um, how do you call this, ads of jobs
Mm,
in the thought, they are not created usually by people who actually have a background in programming.
yeah,
So yeah, it's very easy to write, yeah, I want this numbers of experience, of course the more the better, not necessarily. And that's why I focus so much on the aspect of
skills.
portfolio, and
What?
portfolio. Because if you can show someone, hey, look, I can actually offer value. Yes, I do not have 5, 6 years of experience, but I can definitely offer you value. Then that's gonna have a lot of weight in the process. And also, again, learning is a process. You cannot just jump from step one all the way to step 10 just like that. You have to. It's a process. I mean, just like a baby, little by little grows, and you cannot accelerate that process, regardless of how much you want. Learning is a process in the sense that, yeah, it takes a little bit of time. Of course, the more you learn, the more you practice, that will
And in
improve. Mm.
in this field, we never stop learning because we're always learning. We always learning. So the more we learn, the faster we learn. So it's like we start to like connect concepts and stuff. So, oh, this is an adapter. Okay, this is an adapter. I know what an adapter is. So
Mm,
regardless of
mm,
language, regardless of things, if I conceptualize pockets of data, I it's better. And
exactly.
we will always learn more. There's always
Yeah,
But
exactly.
changes.
maybe by other word, like it's like there is updating all the time in this field,
Yes.
updating all the time. So
I would say
it
that's
is
the
better.
biggest challenge we have in our field. That, for example, there are other fields that are a little bit more static, meaning there are certain knowledge that it's already there and it doesn't really change. You might change the tools that you use probably, but the theory itself, that's still there. One that could come to my mind is, for example, accounting. the accounting methods that doesn't, it's not that anyone is revolution or creating a revolution in the way you do accounting. At the end, it's the same thing over and over again. It's different. You might use different tools for sure, but the theory behind it, that doesn't change. In our case, one day you have XML, the next day you have Compose, one day you have Android, the next day you have whatever. So you have totally, I mean, yeah, the foundation of programming doesn't change. Variables, the concept of variables, if statements, control flow, that doesn't change. But the tool itself, it's a whole world. I mean, I cannot, just because I know the things I know, I cannot just jump into some other stuff. That's the biggest problem I have. People say, Alberto, you do Android. Can you please create me a website? I'm like, yeah, but what makes you think that I know how to do websites? Just because I work with computers doesn't mean that I know absolutely every single technology that is out there. And that's a challenge, of course, and that's why you have to be selective about what areas you want to dominate, because it will be impossible for you to dominate every single technology that is out there. Ideally, you have experience or exposure to as many as possible, but there should be one that should be kind of your baby, and you say, okay, this is what I'm going to become a master at, and you're going to develop, because there's too much to learn and too little time to actually learn absolutely everything there is. Any thoughts? Mariam, how's it going for you? Any thoughts on the topic? You're now on the internship. Maybe you want to share a little bit how.
How is it going?
Say again?
How is it going?
Yeah,
quite
exactly.
good. Yeah, quite good. But as far I was in the meeting, again, I missed to read that chapters.
Okay.
Yeah,
No
but,
problem.
What
No
do you
problem.
want to me? Yeah, I can share.
Do you guys do more programming in there, or?
We actually do it stuff in our individual computer, but next week we are going to do the more programming through the GitHub. It was really new for us. We haven't done it before. Right now, me and Buban commit and push on the main, and we cannot able to create a branch. It's from their project has some libraries that doesn't allow us to make two different branches separately.
Okay.
Yeah, it's really
Weird.
complicated, but right now me and Buban talk to each other every 1 hour, and we are really synced together. That's why
important.
and this week we are working from home, but again next week we are going to the
They have
office.
some events, right? Or
What?
they have some events or something going on. Is that correct?
They are going. I think the hackathon, something happens in the office. Yeah, so that's why they ask us to work from home this week.
Yeah, I know, and Morten told me that your supervisors are a little bit very busy with something going on Morten didn't tell me details, but yeah, good to hear. Good to hear. How about the learning? How is that process going? Of course, it doesn't matter where you go, like a company wise, there will always be stuff to learn. How is that process going?
Yeah,
The
it's
learning
quite.
aspect.
It's quite a lot of things. We have read a lot this week. We figure out to done the view models or everything. Yeah, it was and it was really nice that today our supervisor told us that he's really impressed of our job during
That's
this 2
amazing.
week. Yeah, it was really good to hear. Yeah, it was really good to hear.
All of you, not only Mariam, all of you have to understand one thing, or many things. Number one, the companies know that all of you are juniors, yeah, so they are not expecting you to be, so from that perspective. And also they have been juniors themselves, so they know what it feels. As I tell, when you go to these jobs, of course, as long as they know that you're a junior, the attitude is what really determines your success to some extent, because it will be normal, at some point or another, when you go to a company, and regardless of your level, you are going to have or encounter a series of things that are going to be new to you. And let's say you might, let's put it like that, like this. When I look at the problems that I had when I was 15 years old, I might say, okay, did I really concern about those things? But now I have problems that are, I consider them big. So my point is, it doesn't matter what level you are, you will always have a challenge that for your level, you will feel it's overwhelming. Right now, for your level, you might feel, hey, this is super overwhelming. But it's normal. When you advance, you're going to look back to your internship, or you're going to say, okay, that was really silly. But when you're in that moment, in that new stage, you're going to have new challenges and so on. So it's a process. It's a process. But if you have the skills, which hopefully you're applying and you're developing, then it doesn't matter. What are those skills? Learning, learning, exploring, not learning, but reading, exploring, doing the testing, all the stuff that we spoke about, debugging, the debugger, all that stuff is what's going to help you move forward. But happy to hear that you got that positive feedback. That is always nice.
Yeah, exactly.
And motivating. That's always nice and motivating. Good. So again, then for Enrique and Murad, for example, that you guys are in the education at the moment, and we still have a few more months to go. It's the same thing. Develop the skills to learn, develop the habit on reading, the habit of not saying, I don't know, I would just let Humberto tell me the answer. No, that's not the approach. You need to develop the skills, because that is what companies are going to look for, at least at this stage. Exactly what they are looking for at this stage.
And it actually feels better when you actually come with a solution yourself.
Yeah,
it's really nice.
But also there's another reason. It's a aspect of confidence. What do I mean? And I have mentioned this to the other groups. And a critical aspect for everyone, not only like in the field of programming, not only like this class, but anyone, any field, is the aspect of confidence, trusting yourself. How do I know that I'm ready for a job, for example? Well, to some extent is the level of confidence you have on yourself. You might say, look, I know I'm not an expert. I know I have only been, let's say, doing this for a year and a half, but I have confidence that whatever challenge comes my way, I will be able to solve it. But if Humberto is there always taking the problems out of your way, that's not going to help in the confidence aspect. You see what I mean? Sometimes you just need to suffer a little bit, as I like to say it, and that suffering will help you grow. And so that's important, of course. That's important. As you mentioned, it feels really good. Oh yeah, I finished this. That's so very good, very good. Exactly. So it is a process. It is a process. You just have to be patient and you have to practice. Like anything in life, it's about practicing. And believe it or not, 1 year, it's a lot of time. It's a lot of time. And all of you, let's say, for example, Mariam, at least, she has been almost a year practicing I know you have been practicing not only for class related stuff, but for other projects outside the education. And all of that is time that you have been putting into it. And all of that time, you might not feel it, but I'm pretty sure if you look back at your own old homework, you might say, oh, wow, did I really do this? Not only from the perspective of I am impressed, but also from the perspective like there's a better way. Now I know a better way. Yeah. So it is a process. Any thoughts? Anyone? Any thoughts?
It's like a bit off topic, but yesterday I found out something called GOURCE, like GOURCE, and it's like a program that you run on the terminal, and he goes through the Git log and makes a graphic, like a visual graphic of all the commits and pushes that you did and all the changes in the project, and it looks like a really beautiful tree, and it grows
what is
with
the name?
time.
What is the name?
Let me use GOURCE with GOU, source with G at the beginning.
Okay.
It is beautiful. It is beautiful. And then it also goes, if there's multiple users, you see the multiple users working on different branches of the tree, and it's actually really nice. Because it makes you see all your work, because it has the date on the top, so you can see the time advancing and all the files, and you see the little thing moving all around. It's really beautiful, and it helps to like take in all the work that you have done, because when you're doing, oh, I did a view model and a recycler view and okay, I don't see it, but when you see it that way,
to visualize the progress you have done, basically,
can
be motivating.
Yes, it is.
Something that I have been looking into. It will not happen probably, definitely not Mariam's
course.
generation, and it might not even happen in Enrique's and Murat generation. But I'm planning to implement a little bit of what is known as gamification into the course. Have you heard of that concept?
Yeah, when you make it a game, that to make it more engaging, because when you
correct.
click the engaging part of your brain, when
Exactly.
you gamify stuff, that's a quite
It's a field
trending
not
topic. It's a trending
yes,
topic.
exactly.
There's a lot of gamifying nowadays.
Gamification, yes. So that students can feel, hey, I'm not only here studying, but they can see how they progress. Just like, I don't know if you had ever the chance here in Sweden or in your own countries, when you go to like an arcade and then like shooting, for example, that's a classic, and then you shoot blah blah blah, and then you see how you score against other people. Or I don't know if this used to be popular here, but back then there was a game called DDR, the dancing stuff with the arrows. Have you ever? Well,
Yeah.
I was never into it, but I had friends that they spend like after school, they would just spend all the evening because they would compete, and it was more than the fun. It was being able to see your name and being able to see how you are progressing.
Yeah.
So it's something that I want to include in the course so that people can see. Of course, there's a lot of things I have to take into account. And when you go to an arcade, it's perfectly fine to see your name in the table, but in the context of a course, it might not be the best.
Yeah,
if you have all
exactly.
students being able, so there's a lot that I have to think about, but being able to add that aspect at the very least, so that one individual can see how they have been growing over time, it can really help in the motivation aspect.
There's a website that I see a lot on YouTube. It's called Brilliance. They have a lot of courses, like visualized courses that they help with gamification, and they explain concepts with gamification. So you might look into that to maybe brainstorm stuff, because it's really popular, that website. But yeah, gamification is a big thing nowadays.
Yes, Mariam, go ahead, please.
I think this approach is really nice. For example, we can see how our processes go. At least we can compare ourselves behind the others, but it's not necessary to know the others' name.
For example, who's the other people?
For example, I know that. For example, I have 3 on top of me or 5 in the behind. No matter who are there. Only I just know where is my place. It's really interesting, yeah.
And it's something that I have been actually speaking to the school. But of course, for you, Mariam, for example, maybe Enrique, Murat, even for me, when I see it as an example, I see that my name is in position 3, just to say something. I am a person that I'm very motivated, and I say, hey, I need to go to number 1. However, not everyone is like that. And then for some people, they might say, oh, I'm the last one in the list. This is not for me. They because someone has to be in the bottom. I mean, if it's a ranking, someone has to be in the bottom.
Yeah, someone has to lose. Kind of.
Exactly. Not lose, but there. I mean, there has to be a ranking, and some people might not take it the same way. So that's the aspect of I have to be careful of what is the best approach, because not everyone has the attitude of, hey, I want to use this to improve. Some people say, oh, I'm doing bad, I'm just going to stay away, and it could generate even worse effect. So it's a lot that I have to think to make sure that I do not make it worse.
Separate it. Just tell to the person who wants to know, and not the rest. At least we can compare each other.
That will be good. I want to be in a competition, and we are in a competition. Agreeing to be in the competition, and then we put the names. We don't care. That's it.
Yeah, that would be good and a good alternative. The basic one that I wanted to put is, like how many commits people do per homework. So because the more commits you have, it's an indication of, well, many things. Among those, how often you are working on your homework. So you might say, oh, wait a minute, Mariam has been doing in the last week 20 commits. I have only do 1. Let me start doing more homework.
Exactly. Maybe this can work, because as all mentioned here, because if I'm gonna look at that chart, okay, where is my rank? Is gonna like confirm if I'm really good enough or not? as you said, if someone is in the last ranks, it's gonna really affect by some way, and you never know. So, but as you said, if it's about how you progress on the program, how you really, what effort you do, if you really do so much, so maybe that's gonna make, oh, you know, for example, okay, we can give an example here. You have me, you have, for example, Malik. So we was a little bit impressed of Enrique and Fong when we did find out that they really, because if I didn't okay, had contact with Fong and Enrique here, so, and we did see that they really progressed so good on the course and they already finished almost all the model. So maybe I'm still maybe on the model 1.5 now, and I'm just taking step by step. But that's just give me a big push. Okay, oh, you know, maybe I can really go further in the program. So maybe it doesn't mean that I have to go, okay, this week is 100, so I will just work on this. Oh, maybe I can really, if I have time, maybe I can really go and progress. So I'm not gonna just go after a schedule of the program. So I can maybe really like improve this if I can do more. Yeah,
absolutely,
maybe this.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, another student actually already contacted me from your group that he already finished 108 and he's going to, yeah, exactly. And that he's going to start the Android stuff. But as I tell you, you're not required to do that. But if you feel they have the time, the motivation to do it, to me, to be honest, the fact that I see, and I saw it from Mariam's group, I saw it also in this new group, when I see students are able to, if we are in module 102, for example, and they are already in 2-3 modules ahead, to me, that means a lot. Let me explain from two perspectives. One, because, okay, I know the student has the motivation, and it's always nice to work with people who are motivated. But from a second perspective, it's also an indication that the work that I have put into the content is good, because if the students are able to advance without, or by only using that content, and of course asking me questions here and there, I know that I have been doing a good job with that stuff, because otherwise they would have not been able to move forward. They would have had to wait for me to explain the stuff, you see? So I already released Android. All of you are starting the Mariam's group. That was like brand new. You guys, Mariam, you were the very first group, but I'm in the process of updating the Kotlin part. None of you are going to have access to that, unfortunately. By the time it's released, you will be already either in Android or you would be in the internship. And I'm also updating Python because I have other courses. So it has been a process. This started since April that I have started, beginning with Android. But it means a lot when I see students moving forward by their own. Mariam, go ahead, please.
Yes, exactly. I just want to add something. If is it possible to do it in the next generation? The Kotlin part, as you remember, we used to have 2 weeks for the lessons, and we listen and watch your videos, and again you explained it more in the
lecture.
Class. Yeah, but I thought that it wasn't necessary to explain it, that part. I think that Kotlin needs 2 months, but Android honestly needs to explanation. Honestly.
Yeah.
In the Android part, it's only the question classes. It was for question, but honestly, I need some explanation for something we need. For example, the life cycle of the activity.
Yes. No. Yes. Actually, Kotlin. The thing is, for you, Mariam, and for Enrique and Murad, actually, 2 months is more than enough. Yeah. But the truth is, unfortunately, that's not for everyone. So actually, some modifications that I'm going to do, and this was motivated actually by all of you here, I realized that 10 tasks are too little for 2 weeks. So what I'm going to be doing actually is I'm going to put more practice so that people have the opportunity to practice more and more and more, because I realized in the beginning 10 was actually good, but when I realized, okay, this is not enough now. And yes, I actually, the lectures, again, your generation will not be, but the goal for the next one is that what we do in Android, that's what's going to happen with Kotlin actually as well. So that I don't have to repeat everything. But to make that happen, I need to make sure that the Kotlin content is actually very, very good. And the reason I still go through the theory myself is because there are certain things that are not there yet in that content. In Android, however, I knew the quality of the content, so I knew I'm not going to repeat none of this stuff because I already knew exactly everything. For the Kotlin, I'm in the process of doing the same thing I did for Android, so the classes are going to definitely be totally different from that perspective. But absolutely, I'm going to be putting a lot of work for the next people.
Yeah, good.
The next
people.
the next groups are not gonna be happy with you guys.
Yeah, but
But-
honestly, I spent only 2 or 3 days when I worked with the Kotlin and finish all the module and go through the next module. But in the Android part, we are working for more than 6 hours per day.
Correct.
I code for like 6 hours a day myself.
Yeah.
And then the guide usually takes me at that pace 5 hours, 4 to 6 hours a day. It takes me 1 week. Like
exactly.
I sit,
Exactly.
and then one thing that I discovered is like when you do, I encourage you to. Don't
That's
do
my
that.
favorite part.
Just
That's my
don't do it.
favorite part.
I just don't do it because then I do it and then I spend like 5 hours trying to do it, and then I see the video and then you take another way, and then I feel compelled to just like go back.
Yeah.
So what I do is what I did
I
in the last one was like, I encourage you. I was like, okay, I will spend 10 minutes just thinking it in my head. So I will do this, and that, and then I just watch you. I will not do it. I will just watch you.
We don't have to time to do that actually.
Yeah.
We should have to do the project.
And then no. But when I do it like that, then I create my strategy. I even write it off if sometimes. And this is what I will do. And then I see what you do, and then okay,
and you
we
compare.
divert here. That's better than actually doing it, because Android Studio gets complaining sometimes when you change stuff, and then when you change one stuff here, you have to change the other stuff there. Like when we did the refactor on I think it was the guide of 202, when you change from a list to a class, when you have to go all the way from the view
because
model through the
recycling,
propagated.
It propagates. Yeah.
That one, yes.
Yes.
So I don't want to like. I don't like that.
There's a philosophy behind it. There's a philosophy, because I am aware, as you can probably tell, in one given group, like a class, not everyone is the same. You have people with different levels, different motivations, different everything. And I'm trying to, just as some of you can go quicker and you have the course has been designed to allow you to do that, and others to just go at the pace. The reason for those I encourage you stuff is for those students who have even maybe a little bit more experience, maybe they come from a web or whatever, to open that door for those to practice even a bit more. You don't have to do it, because at the end of the day, I'm solving it myself and I'm not checking if you're actually doing it yourself. If you see, that's more like a process to open the door for more opportunities. And something like that is what's going to happen in the new Kotlin content actually as well. And so, for example, I can already tell you, like, the modules already have not 10, but I have already updated it to include 20 tasks. And I'm planning on including 10 more to all of those modules, because I want everyone to practice. People are going to hate me, I think, but because of the amount of work. But I think that's the way you learn. If you really, my philosophy is, if you want to learn, if you really want to go, then I'm going to be the person to help you with that.
Yes.
And to make that happen, you have to do a lot of work. It's not magic. So, yeah.
But please don't make them mandatory. The 30 task, please just make them mandatory.
We will see. We will see.
Yeah.
We will see. I mean, I always have to adjust. Like with your group, I began with an assumption and I realized, okay, we adjust. So I always have to begin somewhere. But it's good that I did that. You know why? Because, for example, in your group, again, you were the first generation. So I said, okay, I'm going to assume that they're going to be able to do it, all of them. And I realized, okay, they were not able to do it. Okay, no problem. But for example, Enrique is not yet in like, his group is not yet in Android. But the fact that I have so many problems, he has the opportunity to do them, you see? So I did that so that I'm satisfying different groups of people. because if I assume that everyone is the same, I'm gonna be
No.
it's gonna be catastrophe. So it's a flexible system that people can adjust. There's a minimum that everyone needs to do. There's a minimum, but then depending on many factors, you adjust. So that is the key. I mean, it's a lot of work, but I think it's going well. I think it's going well.
Yeah, it's really good.
I mean, I can see it on all of you, so that's of course good feedback. But anyways, I mean, at the end of the day, that is the. By the way, I want to use this opportunity. Oh wow, it's already 12. I want to just wrap up with one important thing. This is especially for Mariam's group. You might say, okay, Humberto, it is very, very common that students come to me and they say, Humberto, I noticed that, let's say they're in Android. They say, Humberto, I noticed that you have data as well. How can I register to data? And I said, look, you don't need that. You don't need that. Do not register. I don't want you to register to my data class. And let me explain why. Not because I don't want the students, but because there's a difference between moving in this direction versus moving in this direction. Right now, if you studied Android with me and you decide to not get a job and instead go to the other course, what you're only going to be doing is you're moving in this direction. You're not really advancing. There's nothing there that you already don't know. I mean, yeah, you're going to be learning Python, or there's nothing there that you cannot learn by yourself. What I want all my students to do is I want them to go in this direction. So for all of you, and even the data group, I don't want them to join the other. Like if they're in Android, I don't want them to go to data. And if they're in data, I don't want them to go to Android. I tell them, look, you are more than prepared to go to the next level. And the next level is you need to find a job. You need to find a job, not only because I know that's what your end goal is, but also because you need to put into practice all this stuff. Now, once you get the job, then yes, you still need to learn because learning is part of the job, but you don't need to register to a new course in order for you to learn. You have your foundation. You studied an entire year with me in which hopefully you had your foundation. Now, with that foundation in your belt, you will be able to learn the things you need to learn by your own. The example that I like to say is, do you think that every time I need to learn something new, I register to a course? Absolutely not. I would never get out of the university. Instead, I know I have a good foundation, yeah, and I do my self-learning. I mean, I do register to online courses like Udemy and things like that, but it's not that I go to a university to register.
Yeah.
No, and I don't believe that none of you have to do that. You have your foundation, go get the job, and that is going to be your next level. That is going there. If you decide to just postpone getting a job to instead register to a new one, that is doing this movement. I don't think, unless you have a very specific reason for that, I wouldn't do it. So keep that in mind. Keep that in mind, okay? And that's why I want you to use this opportunity to really have that foundation. And part of the internship, Mariam, is to continue building on that foundation that will help fully take you to the job. And then you will see, I'm pretty sure when students get their job, they come to me and they say, well, you were right. I should have not registered. It would have been a mistake. And I'm waiting for people to get their job, do the stuff, and come to me. Humberto, you were right. I should have not got it. I could have. I'm learning it by myself. Exactly. I told you. So
because new tools, new language, new stuff, it's better to just have it yourself. It's just like go focus on it like a week after work.
Yes,
like just
exactly.
go at it.
Exactly.
Boom, boom,
And
boom,
if you
boom,
have
boom.
the tools for learning, you can learn anything.
Yep.
Good. 4 minutes passed, but I think it was important to send that message. Thank you everyone for joining. Once again, Mariam, congratulations on that feedback. We're happy for you, and it's just the beginning. And I'm pretty sure that it's going to continue going like this. So thank you everyone, and I will see you then.
Thanks.
Bye.
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 I'm gonna play with my maps.